This is Whiskers Trucking, and I'm Whiskers. Welcome back to the channel. I spoke previously in one of my videos I was going to do a little bit of a trip planning video, so I got my notes together. Trip plan every day. Get up, eat your little breakfast, get your day started. Do that pre-trip, and you know where you're going. Start trip planning for that, whether it's a one-day run or you're going across country. There's a lot of resources. Google Maps. Put your address of where you're going in Google Maps. That way you can confirm that that's the actual building. To have a street view. Pull up that street view, look at the entrance. Look how you're going to get in there and look and see if it's tight. What kind of road it's on. And then Google Earth. Or I'm sure Apple's got some sort of similar app for it. Apple. So that way you can look at the building, get a bird's eye view of it, look at the layout, look at the parking lot size. How cluttered is it? Is it going to be a tight back, or are you going to have plenty of room? So kind of know before you go. Look at the surrounding areas. You're going to have to drive through residential areas to get in there, or is it industrial? That way you can keep that in mind of paying extra scrutiny to street signs, so you don't mess up and go down the wrong road, or clip a tree and damage a truck, or snag a power line or something like that. So those are really great tools to use. Write down your directions, because you don't want to be fumbling with your phone while you're driving, looking up directions, or trying to pull up on the Qualcomm. A lot of these trucks, if you're a solo driver, once you start moving, it's locked and you can't look at it. So I've used post-it notes in the past and put it along the top of my windshield. Or I've seen some drivers use dry erase markers and write their route down in the corner of the windshield. So that'll help you out. As far as checking your route, use your atlas. The GPS is great. We'll get into that in a minute, but always use your atlas first and foremost. Look at your route you're going to take. It'll have color-coded roads as far as what's interstate, what's a principal highway, what's a back road. So it's usually blue for interstate, red for principal highways, which is usually a 4-lane, but it still goes through towns and cities and stuff. And the gray roads, you kind of want to try to avoid those, because it's usually a 2-lane back road. You don't know what kind of terrain it's going to be. If you're heavy, I'll wind up on a back road, not by choice, and have to, because most trucks are automatic now, but I had to drop all the way down to like 4th gear to climb up a hill that I didn't know was there. So try to stay off the gray roads when you're doing your trip planning. Keep in mind, if you're going through the principal highways, expect a lot of stop signs, traffic lights, little towns you have to go through. It might be shorter to go that way, but you got to keep in mind your clock's already running. So is it better to take a shorter route and save a few miles, or go the longer route and keep a steady pace and keep moving? Even though it's longer, you're still able to get there faster. And of course, the more of the back roads you take, the more interaction with traffic and construction and traffic lights and people, and it's not paying attention, and pets or kids in the summertime, stuff bouncing out in the road. So I generally stick to the interstates or the principal highways but mostly the interstates. And try to plan your breaks. Know where you're going to stop when you start your day, once you're rolling. You know, have a good idea where you're going to take your 30-minute break at. See what's around there, where it be a rest area, a little truck stop you can get into, you know, to do your 30. And try to plan on where you're going to stop for the day. Because parking can be interesting out here. Depending on what time of night it is, you might not find one, and you don't want to just make a spot or be sitting on an off ramp or exit ramp and be a sitting duck, because that leads to a whole lot more problems, especially if somebody hits you, you know, and you're not supposed to be there, you don't have your safety equipment out, and it winds up being your fault while you were asleep and you got hit. So, and in truck stops, try not to park on the end of a row, especially if you're making a spot. That's a good way to get your hood knocked off your truck, especially at night. Drivers coming in, they're tired, it's been a long day, they come around the corner and forget they got a trailer behind them. Sadly, sometimes I've had it happen twice. So be mindful of where you park. So try to plan your day where you can get you at least a decent spot. And there's a lot of apps that you can use, like the truck stop apps, like for the major truck stops, Pilot, especially TA. You can pull up the TA app. They'll tell you how many parking spots are left, how many spots are there to begin with, how large it is, what amenities they've got. Trucker's Path, that's another app. Some of you have to pay for, but it's a good tool to use as far as figuring out a place to park just about anywhere. So it's been a useful tool for me in the past. And one good thing about the Atlas, you know, up front, it's got a lot of information. Your GPS has some of it in there, depending on what model you've got. Some of them has the Motor Carrier Atlas downloaded into it. My first one did, but when I replaced it, this one does not. It still has useful information, like for road and weather conditions and stuff like that, useful numbers. But in that Atlas, like I said, it'll give you different color-coded roads. It also give you your weight restrictions, the length restrictions, where the low clearances are, and stuff like that, so you don't get yourself in a bind. You know, look before you go. It's always been a good practice of mine. Check the weather, especially in the wintertime. Summertime, it's not all that much of an issue, because, you know, I mean, you got your pop-up storms and stuff. You still want to kind of know what's going on down the road, what you might run into weather-wise. Even like Wyoming, even in the summertime, they have high winds and stuff. So depending on your weight, you may have to park early. So especially if you're going through Wyoming, check the wind speeds and everything through there before you even get to the state, in case you need to park somewhere before and let it die down. But especially in the winter, check your forecast. It might be nice and sunny where you're at, but between you and your delivery point, you got a bad winter storm coming. So kind of know that way you can either plan to get past it before it reaches that point, or stop before, because safety is the most important thing. You know, loads can be rescheduled, and they'll just be happier to get it when you finally get it there. They don't want it in a ditch. You don't need to be in a ditch. Trucks and freight are replaceable, but you're not. So, especially in the wintertime, pay attention to the weather. I've got a policy. I've been out here 23 years. I've never threw iron, which means putting chains on a truck. My mentality is, if it's bad enough to you need chains, it's bad enough to park and wait for the roads to be taken care of by the professionals and get them cleaned up and then move when it's safe to do so. So it's just something I don't do. I know there's a lot of drivers out there that don't mind it, and will throw chains, and they're perfectly fine. It's just me personally, I won't take the risk. But like I said, everything can be replaced except for you. So that's the most important thing out here in these trucks. It's not the truck, it's not the freight. Make it home to your family. Your family, your kids, if you got them, they need you. So don't push it just to get a load in before cutoff, or don't push it just to, try to impress a dispatcher or impress anybody for that matter. You know what you're capable of, and the longer you're out here, you'll get to know your truck, you'll know what it's capable of, and just don't take unnecessary risks. And possible when you're doing your trip planning, try to start your day about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. That way, about time rush hour is hitting, your clock's up. One, you can usually find a parking spot fairly easily. We still need a lot more parking out here. The government's supposedly working on that, but I'm not gonna hold my breath. Because that'll kind of keep you out of the morning rush hour and keep you out of the evening rush hour. A little bit less of a headache, a little less wear and tear on the knees if you still got a stick shift. It's not so bad in automatic, but the more cars, more traffic that you're having to deal with, more interaction, it just raises the game a little bit to where something might happen. Somebody cut in front of you and you don't see them in heavy traffic. A little smart car. A smart car gets in front of this thing, it'll get stuck in a tread. I won't even see it. So, it's not always possible, but kind of depend on the schedule and the delivery schedule. But if you can, try to plan your trip to where you're avoiding the high volume times in traffic. Of course, the summertime there's construction everywhere, so that's unavoidable. Going down the road, read the signs. If you know the lane's closed in 2 miles, go ahead and start working your way over there. Because when you get up to that bottleneck, even some drivers are not going to let you over, let alone four-wheelers. If you do have any delays, whether it be construction, weather, whatever, shipper holds you up, and and you're running late, don't push yourself to try to make up that time to where you're making yourself unsafe. Communicate. Talk with your dispatcher, fleet manager, whatever they call them, whatever you might have. Communication's key on everything. So it can be rescheduled. It can be repowered. So that's what I usually do when I plan a trip. I figure out where I'm going. I confirm the addresses through various sources. I look at where I'm going, where I'm picking up at, what the layout of the land is, how I'm getting in there, what I've got to drive through to get in and out of the shippers and receivers. Because if you know before you go, then there's nothing, I wouldn't say nothing, there's always something that can, jump up unexpectedly and throw your whole day off, so even if you do the same run 100 times, it's going to be different just about every time you run it with something. So I do that. I look at the layout. I look at if it's going to be a tight back, if it's going to be a blind side back, how much junk they've got in the parking lot. Do they have a staging area? Can you get there early and park and wait for your appointment? Like if you get there early, does it have a gate with a long road going into it to where you could possibly get there early and park out of the way and wait for them to open, and instead of trying to figure out a parking situation at a truck stop 3 o'clock in the morning, just going to where you're delivering. And you know, it's pretty much safe depending on where the shipper and receiver is, you know, and there should be notes where if it allows parking or not, you know, and you can check your situation out and then plan your day from that. And always know what's going on. Always know the weather or the potential weather that you might encounter, because that can change your timeline for delivery. The road conditions in the wintertime can change like that, and then you might have to make different arrangements to be safe and for delivery schedules. Trying to figure out what else did I do. I've been doing this so long, it's just I'm basically on auto mode, but I'm not complacent though with it, so don't ever get complacent. There's always something different, and always leave that CB on a little low where you can hear it. So I keep mine low because I got a speaker right here right above my door, you know, and in the wintertime, you know, you're cruising along, everything's fine, the road conditions are good, but on the other side of that hill, somebody's done screwed up, and there's a damn pile up, and that side of that hill, where it was wet and the wind was blowing, it's not blowing you because you're on the other side of the hill, has turned all that moisture into ice. And if you don't know about it before you crest that hill, guess where you're going to be? Right in the middle of it, and not in a good way. So always monitor the CB. I do kind of miss the old days when everybody, well, it was rude back then. Drivers would just say shit to start shit because they were bored. We get bored, and sometimes we do stupid stuff, you know. Now, here lately, now that I've started this YouTube thing, that's what I do when I get bored. Get on here and talk to you guys. It took me a while because I'm sitting here staring at a phone, talking to it, and I've never been the one to be like the center of attention. I wouldn't even get up and do a book report in school. So, yeah, so progressing. I talk to myself anyway. May as well let y'all hear it. I talk to the truck. I have to talk to the truck. If I don't talk to the truck, it won't act right. At least that's my thoughts. But anyway, I will let it go here. I hope y'all got some good information out of this. I'm sure I'm missing some stuff. You know, look up other channels, other avenues, and talk to other drivers that's been out here a lot older, well, that's a lot older than me and been out here way longer than I have, and I know they know a whole lot more than I do. But like I said, I just want to touch on some points that works for me, and hopefully that helps y'all out. And I'll probably be putting up another couple of videos this week. I will try to do one on some pre-trip points, like the engine compartment, a full pre-trip. You know, I'll do it in sections like engine compartment, then the outside cab of the truck, the coupling area, things to look out and watch for on the trailer, and then I'll do an in cab on it with the air brakes and bleed down and brake test, air brake test, and stuff like that. So, but if my schedule permits and the weather permits. But until then, y'all stay safe, and we will catch you on the next one. I appreciate you watching. Comment, any comments, I'd love to hear them. Even if it's criticism, This is a learning process for me. So any thoughts that you might have, leave them below, please. And we will get back with you shortly. Y'all stay safe. 10 for